Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of In the Huddle. I am your host, Claire. Today, I'm sitting down with Aidan, a former Study and Play USA athlete who is now the assistant men and women's soccer coach at Oklahoma City University, an NAIA program located in, you guessed it, Oklahoma. Originally from England, Aidan played for Middlesbrough Academy from age 8 to 15. He then jumped across the pond to Brisbane, Australia, and attended St. Peter's Lutheran College, where he was the youngest first 11 player in St. Peter's history, becoming the top goal scorer at age 15. He also played for St. Lawrence's and Olympic FC in the senior men and under 23s. He then moved to follow his dreams in the U.S. college system, starting off at Rose State College in Oklahoma. Aidan completed 2 years there, winning regionals and conference. After JUCO, Aidan transferred to NAIA powerhouse William Penn in Iowa. As a soccer player and now coach myself, I'm excited to chat with Aidan about the world of NAIA men's soccer and his time transitioning from player to coach. Welcome to the show, Aidan.
Very much, Claire. I appreciate it.
So let's jump right into it. You said something really interesting off air, and I wanted to bring that up as our first starting point. So you said that your coaching staff said it would be awesome to have a college-wide tournament competition where all divisions play against each other, and I totally agree. I think that's great. For those listening who are not familiar with how men's soccer works in the college system, can you explain briefly how men's soccer works divisionally and why you think a multi-division format would be fun?
So over here we have, there's 3 different institutions really are the big ones, which is NCAA, which is your D1, your D2 and your D3, which is sort of what is your most recognized when people look at colleges in America, like the big schools and things like that. Then you've got NAIA, which is what we're a part of. It's sort of a little more relaxed version of the rules, but with age restrictions, eligibility where you can play and things like that. And then you've got junior college, which is NJCAA, I think it is. And then again, you got D1, D2 and D3 in that. We as a staff, well, obviously, there's me and then another English guy who came to America. Obviously, back home, there's like cup systems where different leagues, teams playing different cups, play against different teams and whatnot. And we thought it'd be interesting to see if you could throw like all D1, D2, D3, NAIA and JUCO teams in a little regional cup, then advances to like a statewide and then national and see where you can go. Because we think that sometimes the level is looked upon. Even in junior college, we played in junior college together and, you know, the standard there was fantastic. And then even in NAIA, we played D2s and sometimes some D1s in preseason and are winning games or at least challenging. So we think it would be interesting, a little competition to, you know, throw out there and see, you know, what team could cause some upsets and, you know, also experience maybe some different schools and some more traveling as well.
Yeah, that sounds amazing because I think another thing that we talked about off air is the fact that NAIA especially doesn't get as much recognition as it should for the level of play. And I looked it up just before we hopped on this podcast today on social media just to see what comes up when you type up NAIA men's soccer. A lot of photos, not as many videos, not as many game highlights or replays that are easily accessible. So I think that's even more of a reason why NAIA soccer is not really talked about enough. Why do you think there's not as much exposure about NAIA to people around the world?
So I think it's one of them. I think obviously you've got the funding from the bigger schools that obviously come down from American football, which here in America is the big sort of money maker with TV sponsors and sponsorship deals and whatnot, especially with NIL money coming in. Now you can start to pay players a little bit more and sort of it's becoming a lot more financial. And so then, obviously, when you get down to D2 and D3, they're not really receiving those sort of benefits. And then NAIA especially, I think it's only started recently in the past 5 or so years that people have started to recognise the quality that comes out of it. And then better coaches coming in with social media starting to get a bigger factor with teams and players looking at social media saying, oh, they keep up to date, they don't, it looks better. And I think that's all really appealing to kids. And then obviously at D1, they've got a social media team, they've got, you know, a match day team, they've got coaches. Well, obviously further down the line, we've just got one set of staff that are washing the bib, but also putting the games on Instagram and stuff like that. So I think it's time and effort, but I also think money plays a big factor in it as well.
That's good for people to know that they should be researching NAIA and not expecting to just see it pop up. And it's definitely worth researching. And just because it's not popping up left, right, and center on ESPN, it doesn't mean that it's not worth playing and researching for sure. Yeah. How do you think that college soccer has changed since you started at Rose State years ago?
I think so. I would say the quality of players has probably maintained the same, if not got a little bit better, with it becoming more accessible, with more agencies coming up, but then trusted agencies getting bigger and bigger. But I also think the level of coaching has got far superiorly better in the past 5 to sort of 10 years. I remember speaking to some players that played even before I got here, and it was sort of like, okay, you get the best players in and now you just throw them onto the pitch. Whereas now, sort of, we look at, especially in our program, there's analysis, there's player analysis, group analysis. It's specific training to who we're playing, what we need, with then strength and conditioning, activation, workload balance. And it's becoming a lot more sort of like a pro program. And I think obviously with better players, then brings more success and then brings more eyes and sort of then just the domino effect of where it could get better. But I think definitely better coaches and coaches that have been through the system as well. So coaches that have played different colleges, experienced it, know what they want, know what they like, and then dealing with sort of younger versions of themselves, them coming over 18, 19, and they have a coach that's already been there, done it, sometimes from the same place, and so they know how to then be mentored and worked into America and college and things like that. So I think obviously coaches play a big part in that.
Do you think that your experience playing has made you a better NAIA coach?
100%. I think if I didn't play and let's just say came out and coached, I think I'd see it completely different. Now, obviously playing, being in meetings, traveling around, where's strong, where people pick people from and JUCOs and transfers and stuff like that, where to target and things. And also you just know how to deal with people a lot better, because at the end of the day, yes, soccer is a big part, but there's still academics, there's still a life. And so trying to work people's, mood, general day-to-day life and just sort of man management of people is a lot bigger factor than just getting on the pitch and coaching a session.
For sure. I think some of my best coaches the head coach has been very, very focused on the session for the day and being very tough. I had lots of Eastern European coaches and South American coaches, and then the assistant coaches were all like the management of the girls and things like that, which was a perfect balance in my opinion. It was always really good.
Yeah.
So one of our other podcast episodes that we have is titled National Premier League Does Not Equal NCAA Division I, which was something that has brought a lot of attention to that podcast episode with the title, because we do get a lot of inquiries of people saying, okay, I play National Premier League, so which D1 should I be going to? And that's another reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast as well, to talk about the potentially unrealistic expectations of National Premier League and FQPL and things like that, and how that equates to America, and also how sometimes there's no way to really show how it equates unless you're showing Australians like clips of these games and full games and highlight reels of these games that they're going to be going into, like the US college system. So we talked a little bit off air about how with the Australian like academy system, you see some guys going from the academy system to NCAA Division I. On the women's side, it's a bit easier to go from NPL to NCAA Division I. But why do you think there's such a big obsession and focus with NCAA Division I?
I fell into that trap as well. When I came over, I didn't know much about, the American system, and I went into a JUCO, thinking it was going to be a platform for Division I. I think playing and now especially coaching and realizing how Division I works, and now this comes from a little bit of a sort of a biased point of view, but Division I is so tightly knit, focused on the next American product, that internationals are not seen as so important compared to NAIA or JUCO schools or even D2 schools. Because they look at MLS Next Kids, which is America's version of, academies and stuff like that, where they're looking at kids coming out of there straight into college that have been looking at college since they've been 15 or 16 years old. Some schools don't have a lot of international scholarship and only have sort of American scholarships to give out. So if you're going to a D1, sometimes you're asking to pay a lot of money to be there. I know that a lot of Scandinavian boys go to D1 because they have a rule with their government where it gets paid a lot. So a lot of schools look at Scandinavian boys because they know it's a little bit cheaper for them. So that's just one example. But I do feel like D1 isn't all that. I look at some of the NAIA kids I've played with, coached against, and some of those boys are unbelievable prospects, like really, really good, talented boys. But because of some eligibility reason or another, they haven't gone D1 or they just can't afford it. And I don't think that being a D1 is all that. I know a lot of boys who have gone from D2s or JUCOs or NAIAs and earned pro contracts around elsewhere, even sometimes out of country. So if your goal or aim is to go and play pro after college, just because you're not playing D1 doesn't mean that's not attainable. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously the top kids who play for their country at youth level are probably going to then get that sniff because they'll spend the money there. But again, they're looking at top American kids, top prospects with a little bit of sprinkle of international kids.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions was what pathways have you seen kids take from all different divisions, but NAIA as well? I think there's a misconception, even with some of the kids that we help in other sports. They're so fixated on D1 because they think that the next step after college, those coaches will want only D1 kids. So that's really interesting to see that and to bust that myth as well and be like, it's not about the division that you're in. It's like who you are as a player and how you can show that you can help whatever team that you're trying to go to next.
I do think it's important to know. I played with a freshman, an English guy at William Penn, and he didn't play his first year, started to play his second year, played his third year, played his fourth year, and then in his last year got a move to a D1 college. So, just because maybe you go down a different path doesn't mean that you couldn't potentially end up there anyway if the opportunity arises and if you perform. And also, I think that goes to show just a little bit of patience. I think if you go straight into a 4-year school, whether it is a D2, NAIA, and you don't play your first year, it doesn't mean you're a bad player or it doesn't mean you're never going to get there. It just means that maybe there's some upperclassmen ahead of you, or it's just going to take a little bit of time in that program to work your way in.
I totally agree with that. And that's why we always talk about making sure that it's the right fit and making sure that our athletes are not concerned about the name of the division, the name of the school, but they're really concerned about the fit. Like, is this going to be a good athletic fit for me, a good academic fit for me, a good lifestyle fit for me? So that's always our big thing, which you would have remembered as well, just making sure that the fit of the college is the right place to go. Yeah. And even when I was in high school, we would always be told, if you broke your leg on the first day of training in preseason, would you still want to be at that college? That was always what we were told, which is a really statement, but important.
I've seen a lot of people leave after a week or two. I heard some stories leave after a week or two because they're like, football may be great, but is it worth, ruining my happiness a little bit? So it's definitely important to do your research as well.
For sure. Yeah. When you are coaching at Oklahoma City, are you doing any of the recruiting for Oklahoma City?
We split up the recruiting. So how it works is our head coach, Billy, will get emails, or Harvey, the other assistant, will get emails, and then we sort of go through them and watch them either together or separate. Obviously, I'm sure you'll know the amount of emails that coaches get. A lot. Some obviously very good, some a little bit pointless, let's say. But especially when you're doing well and you're successful or you have a good history and a reputation, the emails then build up and build up, build up. So it's people say you only recruit one part of the year, you're constantly recruiting because you're constantly thinking about the next year and the next turnover and, where you can improve. Because if you stop for 1 minute, then another college might pick up the player you wanted or that you missed out on because you were waiting. So yeah, we're constantly always recruiting. We'll all look at it as a staff together, so we all have a combined answer on if it's a yes or a no.
Nice. And what has been some of the most shockingly bad emails or highlight videos that you've seen?
There's some bad ones. There was one where we were watching a girls team play, and in one of the clips, it's a keeper. In one of the clips, she goes to kick it, and it hits a tree that's above her, and it bounces back down into the field. And we saw another clip where the pitch was like that, and then the road was next to it. And it was a dirt path in the middle of a mountain somewhere. These are mostly South American clips and stuff like that. But then the ones that I think is really important for players to know is iPhone clips that are facing that way, but then the rest of your video is that way, filmed on iPhone, doing keepy-ups or doing skills in your back garden and stuff like that. It shows a good technical ability, but that's not what we want to see. And then I think as well, it's really important to make sure we can see you properly. And we've seen some of them where it's we're squinting at the computer to try and see who it is and who it could possibly be. So making sure that you clearly marked is another good one. And then one of my pet peeves is training clips, clips from training. If your trainings get filmed, now there's a caveat to that. Normally, if your trainings get filmed, it must be at a decent level, so you can look at it that way. But also at the same time, if your clips are only from training and not from games, we then think about, well, if he's not playing in the game, then these are only going to be training clips. So is he going to be good enough for if we want to sign him and things like that? So we've seen some bad ones, but they're getting a lot better, I will say.
That's good. That's good, because we get a lot of inquiries where kids have made their own videos, and I feel like a college coach sometimes. I'm like, I have no idea where this person is. They start with a penalty kick. They start with keep ups. They start with some slow dribbling.
Yeah. It's so the best insight I got from when I was a player into a coach is and now realizing it as a coach, we will be attracted to you and want to watch more within the first minute and a half. If your video excites in the first minute and a half, if it's a 10-minute long video, we'll probably watch it all the way through. But if that first minute and a half is you messing on in your garden or something like that, then that sets the tone. So you might have the best video ever, but we might then push it to the side because your 1 minute and 30 seconds into your video is you doing keep you up to the tennis ball in the back of your garden filmed on an iPhone 4. It's not something that we want compared to we look at an academy kid or an MPL kid who's playing in a really nice field. It's circled, it's diagrammed where he is and who he's playing for. And then it's him scoring goals or taking on players or defending really well. And his best clips in the minute 30, he will then get looked at more, obviously.
We also say that there's a lot of kids that focus too much on the music, the stuff that's not important.
I don't think I listen to highlight tapes with music on anymore, because some of the music they put on background music is outrageous. So I think we just listen to them on mute. So don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about your music.
Yeah. And we had another coach on a couple years ago who said he gets his Shazam out and he tries to Shazam the songs that come up on the highlight videos.
He's got too much time on his hands.
Well, then he said he makes a playlist in off season with his Shazam songs from the highlight videos that he gets emailed, which I think is hilarious. When you're looking at a kid that has sent you a highlight video and your staff has been like, yeah, we're intrigued, we're interested. And when you hop on a call, as well as your experience hopping on calls as a player yourself, the question that I always ask coaches that we have on here is what's like a green flag when you're having a call with a kid who's a prospective kid for your team, and what would be a red flag for a prospective kid for your team?
I think first and foremost, good manners. I think that's something we pride ourselves on, obviously not just as a person, but as our staff as well, that our boys, when they come in, are all good mannered, good people. That's something that OCU has been proud of, not just having good players, but good human beings around campus as well. So good manners, being polite. And then I think, obviously, all kids work in different ways and speak in different ways, but you sound interested, your tone of voice, if you're asking questions. I think a good one of our boys that we signed last year, who starts in the midfield for us, did his research and learned some, facts about the program and about us as coaches. And just, I can't remember what he said, but it was something like, oh, well, he cares. Like, he wants to be here. Like, this is interesting. Now, I'm not expecting every recruit, if you've got a million schools asking for you, to make a note sheet of every single time, but to maybe, do a little bit of research, do your background and say, oh, like, congratulations, you guys, or you did this, or I've seen that you guys went here and things like that. That just then shows that, okay, we're not wasting our time. They want to be here, because there's no point signing a kid that doesn't want to be there, because you're just asking for problems and you could have problems. So good manners, maybe ask some questions. And then definitely, if you want that little extra edge, do some research and, seeing what would appeal to the coaches that you want to be there, and that's the school for you.
Yeah, that's great advice for everyone listening. And we definitely give that advice as well. And I think something that is also important for everyone listening to remember is if you think that you're potentially too good for a program and this is your safety school, and that can come across in a call as well. So we had another coach on the podcast a couple years ago who mentioned that and said that he can tell when an athlete thinks that they're too good and it's like a backup option. And he was like, that is an immediate no for him when recruiting someone.
Like, if you're messaging, like, if I'm texting a coach or something like that, like I would text my mate, that instantly is, a red flag, let's say, for us. And then, like, speediness of response, if you're replying once every couple of days, it just shows to us that you're not interested. Now, you may be interested and you may have something going on, so just explain that. But if, like, it's constant, maybe like one sentence answers and it's not really going anywhere, it's obvious to us that you have, options elsewhere, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing that I struggle with sometimes, because I grew up with lots of people who were like skipping school to go on visits and like doing everything possible to try and get a scholarship. And now working in this role, I have kids that I'm helping who just forget to reply. And I can't fathom that, because I was just in such an environment in America where it's like everyone knows that you have to be on it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to experience like the other side. I'm like, wait a minute, how did you fall asleep and just forget? Like, you just spent the whole day and you did it just for
I don't get it. Like, so I coach 4 RL teams for club, and so we have to travel all over, and then obviously the college. And if I leave my phone, like, I'll leave my phone for training in the office, and I'll come back out, and it's just like I've missed one thing, and then it messages, emails, calls. It's just like, I was like, they just never stop. So yeah, like, if you're replying quickly and we are, it definitely means that we have an interest in you, because guarantee most coaches have also other things that they've got to worry about, and families as well. So just also be patient a little bit as well.
Yes, we always say that to our kids and to our families, because the amount of stuff that you guys have to do as coaches that is completely separate to running a training session is pretty wild. And I think a lot of internationals don't understand the demands that you guys are under as coaches with your daily tasks, as well as like bigger tasks and semester tasks and compliance and all kinds of like visits, all that kind of stuff that people just don't know about as an international student. So yeah, I really feel for you guys sometimes. I wish I could just reach out and help and be like, oh, hey, I'll help you with a couple things.
No, we could use an extra hand or two sometimes, but yeah, that's what teamwork, get the job done together. So
This next question is a bit of an interesting one. This is a random one, but a rule that you wish existed in recruiting that would be easier for everyone involved, for the kids involved, parents involved, coaches involved, compliance officers involved, athletic directors involved.
I think it would be honesty. And now I know that sounds a little bit weird as a rule, but I personally, and I know a lot of other players, have been sold a dream by a coach that this is the best thing ever. This is, in New York City and there's loads of things to do and this is the best college ever and you're going to be this and that and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And then you get there and it's the middle of nowhere and it's completely the opposite of what you thought it was. I think especially as internationals, if you don't get your research right or you, like you said, you get lead down a path that you think it's going to be amazing. And then you travel and you spend, a good, decent amount of money and it's a financial commitment. And you get there and it's not what you thought. Now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place of, well, this isn't actually what I was promised, but I've just made this massive commitment to move halfway across the world to be here. So now what do I do? So I know a lot of coaches, obviously ourselves included, we don't have to lie about anything. The program speaks for itself. Where it is speaks for itself. We're not the type of coaches to say, hey, you're going to come in and you're going to be captain. You're going to play every single minute of every single game, because it's unrealistic, because that's never happened. Injuries happen, rotations happen, you change things and stuff like that. So we always say, this is the position we would like. It's yours to compete for. You have to work hard for it, and et cetera, et cetera. But I know that a lot of coaches will try and lie to get people in and mislead people just for their own selfish gain to create a better team. So if there was some sort of lie detector test or something like that to make a rule or a law of, then that would definitely be it, because I don't ever want to see players, led false promises and it makes their journey in America not as great as what some have had, and definitely what I've had.
I think maybe just to add on to that, then another rule should be every international player should have to do a virtual tour online. They should have to be able to click through almost like a video game. But a lot of the unis have those virtual tours where you can click through the whole campus. I think that should be required. I think every kid should have to watch a YouTube video of a drone campus video as well. That should be required.
I think there should be. I know that most schools, I know that we have a few drone videos and we have videos of our field and locker room and all that. And we send that as a package, as well as a welcome letter with Oklahoma City, about the school, living and all that sort of stuff. So we send that so they have all the information. But I know some schools just say it's this and that, but then, you need a virtual tour, because then it might be a lot smaller than you think or bigger. You can have a look at where you might be staying or something like that. And I think visually you can just then see yourself there. And sometimes that helps as a recruit. Do I see myself playing there, living there, spending my time there, going to classes? And I think that's a big factor as well.
For sure. Because that actually segues into my next question or topic to talk about, which is the importance of helping athletes to think about why they want to go play in America. I think there's something I said to you off air is I think that there's a lot of emphasis and emotions around the recruitment process and going to speak to different schools and getting sad when a school doesn't speak to you that you were hoping for, or feeling like you deserve more options, or getting overwhelmed with the options that you have, or things like that. And I think something that is really important for lots of kids listening is the fact that they're able to speak to a college coach is quite a big deal, and that they have coaches that are interested, because it's a very small percentage of American high school players will play in college. And that number is even more tiny for Division I as an example as well. And I think something that we've talked about previously on this podcast already is like making sure it's the right fit and making sure that you're understanding what you're kind of getting yourself into. But can you talk a little bit about how you think that the college system has like helped you grow as a person and like become who you are today as like a bigger picture?
Yeah, I think that, well, it was a long time ago now, but I think, I came with the impression of obviously playing the level that I did and sort of the belief I had. I came with the impression of I'm going to come over and I'm going to smash it and I'm going to become, this top, like I said, D1 prospect that we spoke about earlier. And, I'm then going to go on and play pro. And then obviously you slowly get here, you slowly then start to really realize that, sometimes dreams aren't reality. And, there's also kids with the exact same dream that are on a better level or, and sometimes football is a lot about luck and it is a lot about getting a chance where you didn't think or who you know and who's watching you and stuff like that. And I've definitely played victim to, having a little bit of luck on my side as well. But I feel like coming out here and meeting some of the people that I've met and the experiences that I've had are far bigger than anything just to do with stepping on a football or soccer pitch. I think it's one of the most maturing experiences I've ever had as well. I think coming out here, living on your own and doing everything for yourself, trying to make money, at the school, working or, trying to do some, get by and stuff like that. It is so maturing, and obviously, your parents are so far away and stuff like that. So, you're on your own a little bit, but having then those connections with friends and teammates that are sometimes from, South America, Africa, the UK, Japan, and you meet so many different people. And like I said, the other assistant at OCU, he was my roommate at Rose State. And now he's going to be my best man at my wedding next year. And sort of, I never think that I could have that relationship ever. And then, so you build so many different, relationships with people that are so long lasting. And I think that, yeah, it's really important that, you want to enjoy playing soccer and that's why you want to go. But I also feel like it's really important that you enjoy your time while you're there. Not many people get to experience what you're experiencing, and you have people there that are doing the exact same thing as you. So don't feel like you're on your own. You've always got someone there. And coaches as well. I feel like the big thing for me was having a coach that's there for you. I mean, like we spoke about before about, it's not just about training, seeing them for 90 minutes a day. It's, it's your livelihood and they brought you here. So it's their job to look after you. And I feel like sometimes having an international coach does really help that because they get that. Sometimes it doesn't. And then sometimes an American coach who's been around the game long enough will know how to handle you. And sometimes an American coach doesn't. But, sometimes it's just about having a little bit of faith and trust in people, especially coaches, and just enjoying it. I think, yeah, it's just a fantastic experience. I know I can't say enough good things about it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. There's ups and downs, and there's sometimes things don't happen the way you want, but it's incredible.
And knowing that you can't go back and do it again.
Knowing that you're kind of stuck there for at least 6 months before you can either leave for Christmas or summer, it's probably like, let's just get on with it then. Okay, there's nothing else we can really do.
I think for one of the girls actually that we had on the podcast who just graduated, she got emotional talking about how the recording we did, I think, was in May. And she was like, I'm getting emotional and teary just thinking about the fact that I've graduated and that I can't go back in August. She's like, July's coming up and I know I'm going to start getting sad and then I'm going to think I need to be packing and then I'm going to realize I can't go back. I'm done. So I'm just thankful I got to stay and I don't have to have that worry of packing and going back now. So it's fine. I think the thing for me is I've always loved it that much that going home and then coming back, I was more excited to then come back than I was then going home.
obviously people have, they love their family and stuff like that. So I'm not saying I don't.
So what advice would you have for current international footballers, as well as parents of those players who are maybe grade 9, grade 10, and they're trying to figure out ways that they can be the best version of themselves in preparation for the recruitment process?
Patience, and it's a lot of perseverance. Patience and perseverance are the two best words that I can put together for going into the recruitment process and thinking about it. It's really important that, yes, you're going to have your dream schools, or yes, you might look at a list of schools and go, okay, I can't wait to go there and I can't wait to go there. Sometimes it's not going to work out. And if it doesn't, there will always be a school for you. And it's just trying to get as many options you can get so you can then have a comfortable decision of going, I'm picking to go to this school rather than this school is my only choice to go. And if you have a school, if you didn't get a lot of options or didn't get a lot of offers, and maybe there's a school there that's your only option and it's not right for you, be patient and maybe wait and stay a little longer, but don't fall out of love with the process. Like I said, it took some people a couple years that I know to get their best school, and maybe lowering your expectations instead of going, okay, I only want D1, D2. Lower your expectations, because junior college and NAIA are fantastic options. And if I was to make my decision again, I would choose junior college every single time. Now, if you get a great NAIA option or D2 or D1, full ride, and it's perfect 100%. But the junior college process helped out so much. It gives you an introduction into America. It helps you settle in a little bit quicker. So normally game time is a lot easier and a lot better. So I experienced them playing helps out a lot in junior college. And I think as well, in your recruitment video and your lead up to being recruited, I think it's just how hard do you want to work? If you're willing to put in the effort, trying to get games filmed, working hard and stuff like that, and you're going to see more rewards. But if we're leaving it to last minute and we've only got one video and we're using then iPhone clips and stuff like that, it's then going to reflect on your recruitment process a little bit. So patience and perseverance, constantly, keep trying to see what other schools you can reach out to and wherever you can speak to. And then just patience for when that right one comes along. And if you've done all the hard work up to that, should find one for you.
Great advice. Love that. I think patience is a big one for sure.
Yeah.
I also wanted to know, probably to end our conversation, what is it that you love about coaching now? What brings you joy from coaching all the different teams that you coach?
Well, when I was younger, my dad always said that, the moment you stop loving going to training and playing games is the moment you should step away from playing. And I felt that. So we talked about a little bit earlier about having the right coach and the right environment. Towards the end of my college career, I didn't have that. And so that's when I kind of fell out of love with playing compared to the start, where the right environment, right coaches, I loved it. And then to move back then to Oklahoma, it was probably the best decision ever. And then coaching, I just then fell back in love with the game, just completely. The little details of it, the relationships with players, I get more enjoyment now winning a game or seeing the plan come off compared to ever scoring a goal or assisting. But on the caveat, I also get more nervous now before a game than I ever did while I was playing, because I can't affect it in any way. I can make change, we can make subs, we can make changes, but I cannot affect the game. So sometimes I'm a little bit of bag of nerves on the sideline, but I just love it. Coming in daily, working towards a plan, working towards a goal, seeing people improve and developing people. And then obviously I'm not stepping away from the college scene, but I have a young girls team who are 10, 11 girls who are amazing, elite. And then just seeing them grow and grow, not just on the field, but as like little girls as well into young women is fantastic. And that development process, to seeing them getting better and better, then going into the college as well is the most rewarding feeling. And then obviously having some success as well feels nice as well.
So everyone listening, take notes on that, because if you are to ask a coach in the recruitment process that question and they do a big sigh or they answer very short, then you probably know that they might be a bit burnt out and maybe not enjoying coaching. So Aidan's answer is a great example of someone you can tell genuinely does enjoy coaching for sure. So I think that's a good pro tip for everyone listening. You do ask a coach that question, make sure you listen to their answer carefully.
Yeah, so some are a lot older and been doing it a lot longer than I have. So I still have my youth and my fire at the moment. So might be a little bit of a shorter, answer to what I give. But yeah, I'm sure all coaches are definitely interested in somewhere.
For your parting advice, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to mention to our audience? Is there any extra tips or wisdom that you want to impart on our listeners?
I just think that I just want to say, first of all, thank you to you guys. Obviously, your amazing experience is given me one of the best experiences I could ever give. So, putting our trust in you guys has been fantastic. So if anyone's sort of on the edge or thinking what to do, or, if they're, 50-50 on whether we should go or not, 100% do it, 100%. It's a gamble and a risk that I'm so glad I took, and I'm the happiest ever been. I've got a lovely life. I've experienced probably one of the best experiences ever in college, on and off the field. And obviously there's going to be some highs and lows, like I said, but just come out and enjoy it. What I would say is, if you go, when you get to your school and when you get your recruitment process done, if you come out with an open mind, no expectations, don't try and put any goals or anything on yourself until you get there. And then I feel like it's a much better experience. The moment you start to think, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever, or it's going to be the worst thing ever, is the moment then you get in your own head and you already have an opinion on where you are before you've even got there. So just be open-minded, just say yes to a lot of things, and just enjoy it. I think if you put your 100% into it, you'll see the rewards from it, before the process and after the recruitment process, and then especially when you get there. But it's a one in a lifetime experience, even if it's just for the 4 years, something you can say you did. And then if, you make a life out of it, like myself, I can't ask for much more at the moment. So
everyone listening, we did not pay Aidan to say that. That is a genuine response.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast today, Aidan. It's so great to see you after all this time thriving and living life in America and now coaching.
Yeah. That's what one thing I will say is, make sure you cook at home. Don't eat out, because you'll get big chubby cheeks and a big belly and you'll lose your athleticness. So make sure you cook and make food yourself, because the food will get you fat here. So that's probably my other piece of advice.
There's definitely some cities in America, and that's me speaking as American, where you will gain more weight than other cities if you eat out. Yeah.
And it's too easy not to, because the choices are fantastic, but try not to. Limit yourself.
Thank you, Aidan. And hopefully we can get some guys and girls to your school sometime soon.
Great. Thank you very much, Claire. I appreciate you having me on.
Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.